Okay, so we are live. It's streaming. All right. So hello, everyone. My name is Gellis, and this is Infinite Modesty Design. I want to thank you guys so much for joining us live today on our special episode. I have a special guest here with me, and she's also a sewing instructor as well. So that's what makes this episode so special today. I'm going to definitely give her the opportunity to introduce herself, let us know her name and where is she located. So welcome. Thank you for joining me today, Renee, and I would give you the opportunity to introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, I'm Renee Bonches. I live in East Central Minnesota. I'm owner of the studio Sewing and Fitting Mentor north of the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, if you're familiar with Minnesota. I've been sewing since I was a young girl and turned it into a profession. Before I graduated high school, I was making clothes for other people and then went on to college for it.
Excellent. Wow. Thank you so much for that introduction. Excellent. So you know what? I like the fact that I was sewing since I was a little girl, because that's actually where I started from too, since I was a little girl. So I'm so happy to have you on the show here today, Renee. I'm so thrilled and happy to have you on the show here today. All right. So I want to ask you a little, I'm going to ask you a few questions about how you actually get started. So how that little girl decide to actually turn that sewing and the sewing passion that she had as a little girl into a instructor or into a career itself. So how everything gets started. So I want to know.
Okay, well, like I said, by the time I was a senior year in high school, I made my prom dress as well as the homecoming queen's prom dress. My mom had me doing repair work, hems, things like that for people she knew. When I graduated high school, I went to a technical school to learn the finer arts of dressing as well as pattern drafting and design. And then I chose my specialty to be special occasion wear. So I knew I wanted to be an at-home mom for many years, and I could still do sewing while I was at home. I went on to work for a couple of designers and factories and then several bridal shops before I became pregnant with my first son. And then I did it out of my home. I designed and made and altered bridal wear for 10 years and designed pageant wear. And it was great until I burnt out because I didn't know anybody that would want to do it as a business, take business courses, take bookkeeping.
Right.
It's easier now with the internet than 25 years ago when I was middle 20 something and trying to do all the things. So I burnt out. I homeschooled my sons. That's where I learned I was a very good teacher. And I taught both my sons how to sew. They both did sewing Eagle Scout projects to earn their Eagle Scout award. And then I had several people ask me to teach them how to sew. And that's where it flipped on its ear for me doing it as a profession in creating things to helping people, because it isn't, home economics isn't the same anymore. And there isn't even schools that take it. Even if you go to Joanne Fabrics, it's pillows, it's pajama pants, but no one takes you into how to create a garment that fits you.
Right. Thank you so much for saying that. Thank you so much for saying that. Yeah, go ahead. Definitely. Thank you for saying that.
So that is the emphasis and why I chose Sewing and Fitting Mentor, because a lot of people who sew will have followed the instructions, but it doesn't turn out what they thought it would. And that is because they don't know the fitting part and
that's it.
Knowing their bodies and how to adjust for their bodies.
Absolutely. So, wow, well said. And that's exactly the view I have as well. So when you says, so basically from my understanding is that you specialize in bridal wear, correct?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Yeah. Okay.
During the summer months here in Minnesota, it's beautiful. And people are outside and they don't take a lot of classes, but that's the height of the wedding season.
Right.
So
right.
during that time, when I don't have as many students in studio, I take on bridal and special occasion alterations.
Right, right. Okay. Makes
It
sense.
keeps my sewing skills fresh.
Girl, I'm telling you, exactly. Of course. Because you know what? I got, that's another question I'm going to bring to you as well. I got a lot of people come and some people have actually had businesses, you know, in the country and all that. And they'll tell me, you know, I've been sewing for so many years. And then they come back to take my beginners class or my intermediate or whatever class because they forget, right? So is it something I always say you have to constantly let that machine run, even whatever it is you have to, because eventually you would lose that skill, you would go down. So definitely you have said well here for sure. You actually do alteration, and in the summer months you said, right, just to ensure that your skills is intact. There you go, there you have it. All right, excellent. So what I'm going to ask you here, Renee, is do you usually get students come to you or you know, say, you know what, I want to learn to sew. I'm desperate. I really want to learn to sew. It was always a passion of mine, but I don't have the time, or my work or my kids or my and so on and so forth. Do you usually get anyone in that category or anyone?
I get that in passing when people ask me what I do. And so I kind of dig a little deeper and ask what other passions or interests they have, because I'm a multi-passionate person. I knit, I crochet, I ride motorcycle, and to do those things, I have to fit them in. Right. And I think what people do is either they ran into an unsuccessful project, they ran into a technique that frustrated them and they put it aside and then totally put sewing aside, or life just took over. And if we really think about women throughout history, women have always been busy. We have been having babies and taking care of homes and husbands or spouses and making, before the modern era, making clothes from scratch. And it was a requirement for survival. So I really think just like someone who's in a bowling league or a volleyball league or in a book club, they make time to read, and to be in a book club, you can carve out 2 hours a week and just do a segment of your project. It's not going to be fast fashion that you're going to have it in a day unless you put a day aside, but you can sew and create things just at a slower pace.
Absolutely. 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 So there you go, guys. It doesn't matter how busy you are. It doesn't matter how crazy, how, you know, how chaos it gets. You could definitely find, if it's 1 hour, like she mentioned, or 2 hours, you could find some time to start getting that passion in sewing and fashion on. Now, well said. All right. So I want to ask another question as well, Renee. And you know what? I want to actually draw a point as well, as you mentioned, the older women. Because I remember I grew up with my grandmother, and she had she didn't have all these, you know, fancy machine what we have here, or all, you know what I mean? She had the old Singer machine, and it was a pedal machine where she had to pedal with her feet.
Yep.
Right?
I have it right behind me.
Okay. That's why I love that machine behind you, girl. All right. And then I get a lot of students would come and say, you know what, my grandmother or my auntie or my whoever used to sew, and they used to sew with their hands. I don't know if you ever heard of that one or seen that one. Right?
Yep. Right.
Yep. And those things was work, girl. I'm telling you, this is it is manpower, right? It's manual. There's no electric involved, correct? You see what I'm saying? So you could definitely, so you could definitely find time in sewing. I said the sun is actually, okay. I hope the sun doesn't disturb me there. You could definitely find time to get your sewing and passion on for sure. Now, so Renee, you and I, we do instructing, and the great thing is how we met. You know, I actually want to talk. How did we met? Can you remember how we met? Because I always love to find people that kind of in my niche. Do you remember how we met?
Well, like we were kind of trying to remember. You think it's a Facebook group, but I remember you messaging me through Instagram, and you and I we have had a continuous conversation through Instagram, and it's been really fun.
It's really fun.
Because here's a little thing about me is I'm an only daughter. I have 3 brothers, and I'm the oldest. My mom was not a sewer, my grandmothers were. So I was a solo sewer. I didn't have a circle of people around me that did it, anybody to go to and everything. So the wonderful thing about both Facebook and Instagram is you find people just like you to share this with.
I am telling you, that's the awesome thing about it. Yes, definitely. And I love actually when I find people that is actually in my niche, you know, doing the same thing what I do. It's really a joy to me. So thank you so much for coming on the show today. All right. So as we are in the same niche now, I want to talk a little bit about classes. You know, now as the pandemic is here and, you know, there's so many opportunities. I'm pretty much the pandemic actually opened a lot of us eyes to see bigger and farther beyond just our studio, correct? Would you say so?
Correct.
Right. Yes. So now, how do you view online classes? Like, how do you view, what would you say? Because, you know, sometimes I have, you know, may have a post out there and someone would say, okay, you could make that on YouTube, or you could, you know, they would kind of put, and that's fine. Everyone have their own opinion, but how do you view online classes as a sewing instructor, comparing to maybe some video someone could just watch somewhere? What would be your view, as an instructor?
So I have watched the YouTube videos that are out there. I have taken classes through like Craftsy, which is very big. And I actually took a fitting course just to freshen my skills and see what was being taught. Mm-hmm. And the problem I had with either of those platforms is you're watching an edited version of it, and you don't get to interject your question. Mm-hmm. You don't get to say, hey, wait a minute, I didn't catch that, or why are you doing it that way? Right. Because there are different learning styles, and how our brains connect the dots are very differently. Absolutely. So yes, you can take an online course, and it's part of why I created the mentor part was even at home with a pattern, mm-hmm. you get stuck and you don't have anybody to ask the question to. And if you're following a YouTuber that has 100,000 followers and you ask the question in the comments, they tend to only watch their comments for the first day. Anything after that, they tend to fall off. Or you get people who are on the same level that you are that interject, and they may not always be getting the accurate information they need. Right. Whereas when you go to a professional instructor who is trained in this and has done it for years, right. They can tell you that, no, you're holding your fabric wrong going through the machine, or you'll find it easier if you position your hand to do your handwork this way, it'll go much quicker. Right. So there's a time and a place, and like you said, with the pandemic, you and I will be positioning that way, but what I believe we hope to do is have that relationship with our students.
Absolutely.
To have them have a platform to come and ask questions, or to send us a video of what they're doing that we can correct what they are doing.
Right, absolutely. So well said. So just to add on to that as well. So basically, you watching a YouTube video, like Renee said, there's no question. There's no one you could say. There's no one that could guide you. There's no one could say, you know what, or like she said, if you ask a question, the person probably have a lot of followers, or maybe just starting off, whatever the case, but not all the time you will get the answer that actually you need to get that project started. But if, for instance, you should take a class online, the instructor at least is there with you, or maybe a coaching online, the instructor is there to actually guide you, right? So that's totally different. And even though an online class may have videos, at least the instructor is still there. As she mentioned, the instructor could even send you a little quick video if that part wasn't understood clear enough, or maybe the instructor to come on a Zoom, because we are on Zoom right now. So there's so many advantages for taking an online class with a professional instructor, someone who know what they're into, opposed to just watching video. Makes sense, right?
Well, and I'd also interject that if you have someone that is part of your course and you're familiar with them, you're familiar with their project and what their goals are to attain in learning in that project. Whereas watching just a plain video on YouTube or a canned course like in Craftsy, they don't know what you are working on.
Right.
And how to overcome your roadblocks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then I would actually also go with the in-studio class, although with COVID, nobody know what it is. It's the same thing. And I show Renee would actually give a view as well. It's the same thing. Like you want, let's say you come in studio, for instance, and the in-studio instructor is there with you, hand in hand with you, like you said, teaching you how to probably do the hand sewing or maybe to position the fabric in certain way to get it easier. So it's always a benefit to go with an instructor, whether it's in studio, because most people are gonna say, I'd rather in studio because, in studio, you're kind of right there with the person. But let's say in studio is not available and you could do it online, it's always the best to go with an instructor. And I'm pretty sure you would say the same thing. An instructor, we are the one to actually guide you in your sewing and fashion journey. Right, Renee?
Well, yes. And I actually just read a quote day before yesterday that said, yes, you can figure something out, but when you learn from someone who's gone before you, have a coach or a mentor, they get you there faster because you can help them beyond the points they get stuck. So it makes it easier and faster when you have someone to come alongside you than for you to spend hours and weeks trying to figure out something till you get it right.
There you go. And excellent. Well said, of course. And one thing I want to say, I just remember, as you mentioned the quote, I remember something I saw, and I was actually posting it a few times, but I haven't posted in a while. It's not just, I believe I could do this dress, or I believe I could do this skirt, or I believe I could sew, but it's actually stepping out of your comfort zone and acting on that belief. That's what pretty much make it come to life or make it possible. There you go. Well said. All right, wonderful. So I'm gonna ask you, of course, because as you know, I've been telling you that I'm trying to get my courses online, trying to see if I could transition online. I definitely want to know more about you too, and how is it going right now with you as well? We are instructors, and we know how COVID have been shifting this, the whole economy. So what is your your plans moving forward, like with classes, besides just the in-studio classes?
So I was speaking with a business coach to help me. I'm trying to prevent burnout that I had the first time around. Right. And so we were talking about whether I am looking at a membership platform for people that, if this becomes extended, can pay a monthly fee and just always be on there. But to get started, I'm going to start with a Facebook group, and a private one that people come in, and it will be hosted through Zoom, and that they can, I'm still working out the process, but they would still pay. And it would be a private Facebook group. I would do group coaching, just like you would have a group class here. So according to their skill level, and then they would also get to schedule one-on-one time with me to go over their specific issues.
There you go. Excellent. Wonderful. So definitely that's what I'm all about too. I do actually currently teach online. And the funny thing, I teach a beginner who actually never, sometimes you always have to try. I remember when the first time I was trying to transition online, I have no clue what I was doing, to be honest with you. It was just trial and error. So I had a couple of free classes, which I still do have free class, because free class, kind of get people in to see that you could actually do it, right? So I had, so I had a free class, a couple of free classes, and it was I realized, wow. Then I told them in advance, I said, you know what, I'm still learning this. This is my first time online, so kind of help me out as we go along. So, and it went well. And then I had some paid classes online, and then I have beginner classes, which people actually, I had a student, she never sewn before. So I asked her to get a specific machine, that the one that I am competent with, comfortable using. So if she have any error, if she have anything, at least I could say, okay, do this, and she could look at me what I'm doing. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I also have I'm working at, as you said, you're working on your membership, right? I'm also doing the same thing as well, working on my membership and course online as well. So it's definitely actually open our eyes as instructor to kind of not just look at the location, but also we could reach more people online, right? We could reach so many opportunities there for us itself. And sewing is not something that someone would say that I cannot do online, because people just ask me. I think it's even recently someone asked me, do you think I could actually learn to sew online? You know what I mean? And that's a great question. So the answer is yes. And for Renee, what would you say? Definitely, I want to hear what you say.
Yes, you definitely can. But I think the aspect that we bring online, that we can bring online, is the same thing that we offer in our studios. Absolutely. Is that we can bring the community and the interaction and the inspiration from each other. That's part of what I enjoy so much about my studio. And what I was talking about is I had 3 brothers. I've got 2 sons. I have 3 grandsons. I have a testosterone driven life. And when I am in my studio and now it's not to say men don't sew, because like I said, I taught my sons how to sew, but I get more women in here and I get to share with them my love of sewing, and them figure out how to fit their figure, and that they can have a blouse that buttons up the front or doesn't fall off their sloped shoulders. To watch the aha moment, we can still pass that on online. Absolutely. We can still get them there online without having them physically here.
Absolutely. And I love the aha moment all the time. I'm telling you, it's such a fun moment, right?
Oh, and when they're like, I made this, and it doesn't matter if it's my 9-year-old student, or if it's my 57-year-old student, that they are just as excited when they accomplish something and they walk out of here with something they can use.
I am telling you, girl, and for the instructor, it's such an amazing feeling. I'm telling you, right?
Yes,
it is an amazing feeling. Absolutely wonderful. All right, so I just want to also I want to ask this question. Although I have mentioned I have Teach Beginner online, what would you say for someone who never touched the sewing machine before and want to sew online? Not just someone maybe have a machine, but someone who never, and you have to actually help them set the machine with do you have any views on that? Have you
so I actually, whether it's my quick start class or it's my beginner, is I actually, before they even make a stitch with thread, I have what I call driving lessons. And it's without thread in the machine. They trace patterns on paper so that they know how to feed through the machine, how to steer the fabric, steer the paper, that they control the pedal just like the pedal of a car. And that every machine is a little bit different in what it does. Even though I can have the same Kenmore machines that I have in here, each one's a little tricky with its own things. And that you should approach every machine that way. I go over that before you start a project. You should go over your machine, make sure that it's cleaned out of dust and lint, fresh needle. Everybody, their machine's been in their closet for a year and they've never changed it's like, you got to blow out the cobwebs and start fresh. I also teach them how stitches are made, and I will put a different color in the top and have them put a different color in the bottom and play with the tension so that they learn how to adjust the tension, because when you change a fabric, the tension requirement will change with that along with the needle. So I do a lot of time with sewing machine introduction, how it's set up, how a stitch is made, and how you can adjust that stitch, the pressure, the tension, and then start with scraps of fabric. Because you got to learn how you take someone new. Seam allowance is a foreign concept to them.
I know.
And so you got to start teaching what a seam allowance is, how to maintain a straight stitch, how to do a corner. So there's a what I call pre-sewing skills with a machine.
Right.
And you can spend anywhere from 2 to 4 hours with that alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's actually how I started as well. You have to know how to thread the machine, the bobbin, you have to know. But usually what I do, I just put the fabric at straight line. So you start with the backstitch, because of course backstitch would be brand new to where to, you know, someone I have no clue,
Yep.
and stuff like that. So yes,
Yep.
I always have this concept, as well as you mentioned, it's like driving a car. You know what I mean? The more gas you go with, you just kind of either, you know, go crazy, or you just make sure that you can maintain the speed of the pedal and you'll be fine. It's like just like driving. So that's exactly the same method itself. Excellent. So just here, guys, definitely sewing is possible even online. And for all those who have been contacting me and wondering that, can I learn to sew online, or can I learn to you know, oh, I'm always busy, or you could find some time. Everyone, we all busy. We all look, Renee's in her studio, right? She's busy, but she take the time just to kind of share her wisdom with me. So I am so grateful. Now, Renee, is there anything you want to let us know? Any last words you want to let us know? Anything at all you want to tell?
Just that sewing is a journey. You're not going to, even if you start and you get the first few lessons, you're not going to be perfect. Mm-hmm. It's a journey. And the more you do it, the better that you're going to get. And don't be afraid of new techniques and new skills.
Right.
We all start somewhere. And if you come across a new fabric, a new technique, mm-hmm. take scrap fabric, practice it a few times. Don't let your project be the first time that you do it.
Okay.
And one of my students' favorite things, especially my young students, is when they get done a little bit early for the day, is they're like, can we practice the other stitches on the sewing machine and see what they do? Right. And so the zigzag and the feather stitch, and then they even practice making buttonholes, even though they weren't doing a project that required buttonholes. Right. That's the thing I love about very young students, is they're not afraid to try. I don't know why older students are afraid to try. Young students just like, here we go.
I know.
So I have a teen student that she went from making her first set of pajama pants. I said, okay, what do you want your next project to be? And she says a wool coat. I'm like, okay, let's do it. But this isn't going to be as fast as your pajama pants. But you're going to get a lot of learning.
You get a lot of learning, exactly. Wow. So basically, you have the pattern set in, Renee, or would they provide their own sewing pattern?
They provide their own patterns. It's I'm a sewing studio, but I'm not a fabric or pattern store. And right. Due to copyright laws, I always tell them you need to buy your own pattern. I do have the tracing paper because they're multi-sized and patterns are so expensive mm-hmm. that you're free to trace your size, but you should always own your own pattern.
On your own pattern, right? And then they pay for the class itself, whatever offer yes. you give. All right.
And I guide them. I help them with their measurements and their pattern size selection, their fabric selection, because a lot of people don't realize you choose the wrong fabric, mm-hmm. that's going to be a detriment to your outcome as well if you choose yes. the wrong fabric for your pattern.
Mm-hmm. All right, wonderful. And you know, one thing I just remember I wanted to mention too is the fitting, because you mentioned it, and most people would come to me because usually I teach how to make the pattern as well, and I would teach how to make the pattern for whatever side. I also have my own patterns, my own pattern that I sell, but okay. I also teach them how to make the pattern. And some students would come to me and say they want to start making dresses for others now, and those things, especially, they are very. You have to be really, really specific, because of course everyone have different body shape, different sizes, different, we all build differently, right? Yeah. So the measurement is so important. So all those is key in taking a class, whether in studio or online with an instructor. The goal is that is with an instructor, not just anything, just with an instructor, because you need to know how to properly take your measurement, right? You need to know if you're making a blouse, how to properly measure your bust, maybe your empire, your shoulder, your arm, and so on and so forth. So all those things, you could say, I could just watch a video, whatever. But when you have an instructor, the instructor guide you step by step. Is like, holding your hands to pretty much get you across the road safely.
Correct. And that's, and especially with fit, I've told my brides this for the years, but I also tell my students now, I said, the good Lord didn't take a cookie cutter when he made us ladies.
Amen. No.
Just like he liked the variety of the insect kingdom, he liked variety in his human race as well. We come short, tall, robust, slender, tall, short upper bodies, long upper bodies, wide hips, narrow hips, and all of those require, and along the line of fitting is when you're allowing time for sewing, and no one teaches this, but you should understand that you're going to spend as much time with your pattern in pre-sewing and adjusting the pattern, getting it ready to lay out, making all the markings. You're going to spend as much time, if not more, doing that part than you are going to do the actual sewing process.
Actual sewing, yeah, big time. Big time. All right, guys. So here you have it. Definitely. This was some good wisdom again from Renee today. And I'm hoping that you enjoy the show today. I'm hoping that you're getting wisdom and let you know that sewing is possible, whether in studio, with an instructor, with a coach, or online with an instructor or a coach. Now, peace in sewing. What is your view on that, Renee? Last question.
Repeat the question again.
Peace in sewing, or what should I say? A sense of sewing, a sense of peace. Do you find peace in sewing?
Oh, yes. Actually, I had written a blog post regarding that. My family and friends around me know that my sewing studio, whether it's at home or my retail studio, it's my happy place.
It's my happy place.
I become calm. I become centered. It is so peaceful and so meditative. And in this past year, and I think that's what people have learned with COVID and getting on the making of the masks bandwagon, that you have a purpose, whether you're making something for yourself or for somebody else, it creates a sense of purpose. And the opposite of depression is purpose.
There you go.
And when you have a purpose to create or to do something, it creates a sense of wholeness and peace.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Renee, for joining me today. I'm so excited that we met. And this is the first time we actually met live online. So yes, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Thank you so very much. So here you have it, guys. There is peace in sewing, and that sewing is also my happy place, as she said as well. Now, also what I find peace in as well, just to let you guys know, is in the Lord Jesus Christ. There's also peace in Jesus Christ. Why? Because he is the Prince of Peace. Thank you so much again for joining me today. My name is Gellis, of course, and this is Infinite Modesty Design, and we will definitely connect on our next live. Take care, guys. Thank you so much.